Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy. We pushed play. Oh, no, not play. Record.
Cool.
Okay, so
There's a difference.
there is a slight difference.
There's a little difference.
However, one of the reasons we hired Halston is because Bert kept saying, "Why don't you just run the board for me?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I can barely push play on a like VCR. I see VCR from 1985. I don't know how to do any of that.
A VCR.
We do have a VCR.
Wow.
We have a VCR. It's in a closet because I have some Disney movies that you can't buy.
I know.
On DVD.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna. My kids want to watch Fantasia, and
Right.
I can't. I don't know. Maybe you can now, but one time I went to buy Fantasia, and you can't buy it on DVD. So
Yeah.
Bert has a lot of his earlier TV stuff on VHS. So I haven't yet made it to Costco to get it converted to digital. So I'm like, if we ever want to see something just to look at it,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this.
That's great YouTube content to post.
It's great. I
Yeah.
know. If I had an extra 1 minute in any day.
I know.
The thing about it is you have to sit there and fill out a thing for
I
each
know.
VHS.
It's not
and
the thing an errand
uh,
like that. It's just like it's not so much that it's labor intensive. It's just that it's just kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
And you start looking around the house or you look around at your pile of whatever and you go, well, you know what? I can accomplish all of this.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it never gets done.
And it never gets done. And it's so
10
frustrating.
years later, you're like,
Right?
I really should have done that.
Well, I started from this podcast. One of my friends was telling me she read a book called Better Than Before.
I love that book.
Yeah, you like that book?
Yeah, I'm reading it.
So I don't know if you've gotten to the Power Hour yet.
No.
That's amazing. So I started doing that. I
Okay.
have 2 to-do lists. I
Yeah.
have one to-do list that's like, ongoing, constant. And then I have a Power Hour to-do list where this woman says, set aside an hour to do things that have no expiration. Like my light bulb is out in my pantry. I have 2 light bulbs in my fixture, but
Right.
one is out. And every time I open the door, I go, it's so dark
It's so
in here.
annoying. Yeah.
But there's no end date to that. So it never gets done. So her theory is if you make a Power Hour, you put the stuff like that, like changing the light bulb
great thing.
on the Power Hour, and then you just say, okay, Thursday from
Yeah.
11 to noon is my Power Hour, and I'm just banging out those things.
Yeah.
That Costco thing is on my Power Hour list.
Yeah.
But it's low.
Yeah.
It's
But there's
low.
something so cool. I mean, I love that because it's just, it's the same thing with teaching that I tell the kids, just focus on this.
Right.
Just focus. I think our brains need that
I think so.
and like it.
I think so because we're so scattered now.
I know.
And by the way, for people listening, Christina is our daughter's piano teacher for how many years now? Are you ready for this?
How many years?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
7.
Oh my gosh.
7.
7 years.
It was second
well, with
grade.
Georgia.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
Georgia's second grade.
Where does the time go?
I don't know. It seems
Where
like
does
3.
the time-
I was like, it's been like 3. And
I
then I went, wait a
know.
minute. No, it was second grade. She's in 9th grade now.
I know.
So maybe it's
and
6.
she's so
but
tall.
She's so
She
tall.
is so tall now.
It's annoying.
And she's
really
so
tall.
sweet. I mean, I
Oh,
gotta
thank
say,
you.
you've done such a great job with your
Aw,
girls.
thank
They're
you.
good people.
They are
Turning
good
into
people.
very good people.
I would like for them to practice piano more.
Yeah.
I would like them to voluntarily do their chores. I would
Yeah.
like them to complete homework without me having to check, same thing almost
Yeah.
every parent would like.
I know.
But I think they are good kids. They, I think Girl Scouts has been really good for both of them. Mm-hmm. And I think piano's been good for them. I think.
Oh, good.
No, it has. No, it 100% has.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because I think you're a place where, and I don't want you to take this wrong, I mean it positively, where they get in trouble because they don't practice and you hold them accountable.
Yeah, I do.
And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of places where they go, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, next time.
Yeah.
You'll do better next time. And you do not do that. And
I don't do that. There are times when I have to watch myself though, because it's a monitoring thing. I mean, you go, that's why I always ask first, how's your week been?
Right.
What's your load been like and all of that,
Right.
and kind of gauge what's going on with them first. And, you always fill me in too on what's happening.
Right.
Because if you're not careful and you come down on them, it can really be like a landmine.
Yeah.
So there's that, but then there's also the summer, like, oh, well, we went here and we went there. It's like, you know what? You've got to learn to fit in a really valuable, 30 minutes every day, on this, and just, having those conversations about things. And, I think earlier on in my younger years of teaching, I was more strict than I am now. But I think now, hopefully, I'm more effective because it's not talking at them. It's saying, this is what you have going this day. Where can we find this time to do this? Because it's not just about piano. It's about everything in life. You're going to have to find, the things that are important to you need to be on the priority list. And if you're saying this is important to you, but you're not actually following through with any action showing that it is important to you, then you're really taking it for granted.
Right.
So, and you don't want to teach kids that either, that you can take something for granted for so long, and it's always going to be there. Right. So,
it's a hard balance as a parent too, because you go, we have way more homework than I had as a kid.
I know.
Mean, since first grade. I didn't have homework till middle school. They've had so much homework since first grade. I mean, like almost an hour every day. So then you go, when I was a kid, 30 minutes of practicing piano that's all I had the whole day.
Right.
And we had PE every day at school. They did not have PE every day at school until middle school. So I felt like I needed to supplement that too. Like, of course, we go for bike rides and we walk the dogs and stuff.
Right.
But that's very different than playing tennis or playing softball.
Yes.
So whereas I got my physical activity, at school.
Yeah.
Now that's another piece that goes after school. And then before you know it, like just this past weekend, I was like, please do the play. And she loves acting, but she loves acting like character acting. Like she wants to be in The Wizard of Oz. She wants to be like the Wicked Witch. She doesn't have no interest in being the star.
Yeah.
She wants to be the fun character, right?
Yeah.
And she really loves it. And she works really hard at it when she's doing it. Yeah. So then you go, well, that's something I need to foster because it's effortless for her. There's no hey, do you practice? She just does it.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, let's sit down and talk about your week. We have a private art tutor. We have tennis. We have piano. And now we're going to put a play. So this is a lot. So how are we going to manage ourselves?
Right.
What gives? Now you have PE 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Maybe we can take tennis. And just take tennis off while the play is on.
Yeah.
But I don't want her to lose tennis.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
those are great parenting moments.
They are.
No, that's really great because so much of life is management.
It is.
You can be, it's the recipe for success, really.
I agree
and if
with
you
you.
let some important things slide, you can really be on the slippery slope of downhill if you're not careful.
Totally.
So I think that's great.
Well, I wanted her to go into her fall eyes wide open.
Yeah.
And for her to have made that decision.
Yes.
Like for not me to say, no, you can't do the play. Or now that you're doing the play, you can't do this.
Yeah.
And she was practicing. I was saying, you need to practice piano this week. And she's like, I just don't. I'm so tired. And I went, yes, but we've been over this with Miss Kris. And you keep saying you want to stop. And then you get reinvested.
Yeah.
But when you reinvest, you don't really reinvest. You need to practice.
Yeah.
Even if you do 3 days a week, I'll be happy because that's an improvement to no days a week. So you have to reinvest in what you're saying, or we need to stop.
Right.
One of the two.
Right.
So stop telling me you want to stop.
Yeah.
Or get in it, make a decision. So I thought if I took this path with the play and sat down and kind of looked at all of our days and all of our cards, and she could really see how much free time she has.
Right.
That she could make. It would be teaching her how to make an informed decision. Yeah,
it's interesting. You and I both love books so much. And there's a book, let me see. It's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Of a team.
And it's about business, but it actually like, it helps CEOs and people like that figure out how teams start to dither.
Right, break down.
In their commitments.
Yeah.
And, from football teams to
Girl Scout teams,
huge corporations
to, whatever,
to anything. And one of the dysfunctions, the main dysfunctions, is when people don't feel like their voice and their opinion matters.
Interesting.
They don't invest. They pretend to be on board with whatever the boss wants to do.
Right.
But if they are not heard, if their opinions don't matter, if their ideas are not given any value, they will faction off and start factions with other people on the team.
They probably start sabotaging.
They start sabotaging.
Yeah.
And it's human nature, because I think it's probably, just another way of being heard, it's like, so I think it's really important with kids too, because they're small, but they're still people and growing and developing people. And I always find that helps so much too. Just before starting a lesson, just listen to what's going on, and see where, not necessarily come in and try to rescue anything, but just somebody in their day who's not barking orders at them, right? Because that's a long day of being on everybody else's agenda, until 3-4 o'clock, and feeling kind of powerless.
Yes, a lack of autonomy. I think.
A lack of autonomy that's it. Yeah,
I think that's what kills a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
All ages is feeling that you have no autonomy, no choices you make on your own, no self-expression, right? No uniqueness, really. Right. The lack of uniqueness, I think everybody feels. Some people are more unique than others, just like some people are more independent than others. But I think everybody needs that autonomy. I've been trying to do that with my kids a lot, to say, here's the chores you have to do. Yeah. And here's like 8 chores, choose 3. I don't care which 3. Yeah. I don't care if you do that same chore every week, as long as your sister is not angry at you for doing the same chore every week. Like, don't pick the 3 easiest chores and let her do the rest of them. Right. Have some management within yourselves.
That's great.
So that you negotiate, because Georgia will rush to the chart and pick feed the cat. Because feeding the cat is so easy. Yeah. She never wants to feed the dogs, because Priscilla has like 8 medications, and you have to put one medication in the peanut butter, and it's a big hassle. Right. I hate feeding the dogs. But I feed the animals in the morning, and I'm like, they're your animals too. You should feed them at night. Yeah. So, but every week, George's like, feed cat, feed cat.
That's so funny.
Isla turned to her and went, you know what? It's not okay. You had feed cat twice. Yeah. You need to give it up. And George's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Right. I don't know what you mean. 2 weeks in a row? Look at this chart. And I'm like, good. Work it out. Yeah. Figure it out. Yeah. Negotiate it. Yeah. Maybe we move that down to like, one week, one girl sets the table. The next week, the other one clears. And then the following week, they switch. Right. And I was like, well, maybe that's what we do. Maybe this is so contentious that you just move it down to the permanent every other week cat dog switcher offer, and then there's no negotiation, there's no fighting, there's no competition on who gets to the cat first. Right. Just so silly.
I know, but these are the things that you learn in your family, or you learn later in life. Right. I mean, I have a memory of my dad just going off on me when I was about, I think I was 11 years old, and it was one of those long, lazy summers. You know those kinds. They were dreamy and lazy, and you're like listening to music by the pool and watching TV and making a mess of the kitchen, And I had made, I think, like 3 top ramens that day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is like sodium.
That's 3,000 calories.
I know, exactly. And at 11, it's like, it didn't.
You're a machine at 11.
You're a machine at 11 years old. So I had all these top ramen packets, all over the counter, and a Kool-Aid splashed everywhere. And I had like a ice cream dish and, on the chair in front of the TV, with the chair like this far away from the TV, and like my, the radio blaring and all of that. And I was in my bathing suit, and
best summer ever.
I was doing my nails, and my dad came home, and he just put his stuff down, and he looked around and he went, "Really? Really?" And he's like, "I expect this to be cleaned up in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Now but my nails are wet. And get up. I want you to get." And so, I'm hustling, and I put all of the dishes in the sink and threw away my top ramen wrappers and went back to my nails. And my dad came out, and he just went, "This is not acceptable. This is not. Here's what you do. Look, there's a pan. It's in the sink. You know what you do? You take it out. You put soap in it. You wash it.
Oh, my God.
You know what? And then you know what you can do? You can dry it, and then you put it away."
Oh my God, how funny.
And he's demonstrating, and you take the spray and you spray the counter and you wipe down the counter. And he was like, this is not about cleaning up the kitchen.
Right.
If you do the bare minimum in life,
right,
you're not going to be impressed with what you get.
He's right.
And he just went off on me, and I had never seen him, like there was something, deep in there in him that was really like, this is a lesson.
Right.
And every day after that, I cleaned up.
Wow.
And I mean cleaned up, because I realized, even though I couldn't even articulate it at the time.
Sure.
But on some level, and I believe this about kids, that they just,
they internalize it.
They do. And their minds are joined with you. Mm-hmm. So even if they might not be able to tell you what they're feeling, they're getting it.
I agree.
They're getting it. Yeah. And so it's really important to have those conversations, and maybe if he hadn't had an outburst like that, I wouldn't have really gotten it.
Right.
But I really, really got it. And I remember for weeks afterwards just thinking, it was like,
this is what he means. Like that?
Yeah, this is what
he's talking about. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I know I reflect back, my mom and dad were very neat people. My dad was almost OCD organized.
Wow.
I don't think he has OCD, but his organization is next level.
Wow.
Everything, where everything goes in the house. Yeah. Everything has a place. He's a mechanic. So when you go in his shop, every tool has a drawer, a hook, a place it hangs. You know exactly where it is. It gets put away as soon as it's used. There's no like, hey, what'd I do with my hammer? It's either in use or put up.
Yeah.
Or it's in a place where you go, it's in the process of being used. But I was a disaster. He used to say he would stand in the threshold of my bedroom door and would not be able to see one spot on the floor.
Wow.
Not one spot. And I remember it being that walking all over clothes, and he kept saying, "This is so disrespectful. I've spent all this money and you've spent your money on these clothes, and this is not how you treat your stuff." And it did not register.
Yeah.
But it did, because when I moved into my dorm room, I was the most organized, tidiest, neatest person.
Yeah.
And even though my house is not always tidy, I live with someone who is mentally ill. Not really, but in the tidy department, Bert is incapable.
Wow.
So for me to get the house and keep it the way I would like it, like when he first met me, first came into my apartment, he was like, "I don't think anybody lives here."
Wow.
Because everything's up. Nothing's out. And, I don't think it was cold. I think it was pictures and it was warm. But I don't leave like a coffee mug on my side table.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, no, when I'm finished, it goes in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
It doesn't even go in the sink. Now, I've had a hard time getting my family on that same path. But I do think to myself, I was not that way.
Yeah.
Until I moved out of my house. I was a disaster. And my dad kept saying, this is a disaster. So I think what you're saying,
Yeah.
that it really goes in. Sometimes you got it, seems like right away, where you went, I see what he means, and now from that one outburst, I'm changing my behavior. That didn't work that way for me. I think it worked that way after.
Yeah.
When I left, I went, oh yeah, I don't like living in chaos.
Yeah.
I do like knowing where my car keys are all the time.
Right.
I think it's a good idea to put that skillet up after I've washed it instead of leaving it on the counter.
Yeah.
So it clicked, I think, after. I don't know why, because he and I live by ourselves, and you would think I would have wanted no chaos in that house too, but I don't know, maybe I was just developmental, maybe I was just too young.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I got to say that I got it from my dad, but I only kept the space that was important to him clean.
Oh, got it.
My room was a total disaster.
Got it. He said to bring your mic a little closer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
My room was a total disaster until my sister is a real neatnik. Always was. She's the kind of kid who would, her idea of a fabulous day was to crank up her music and clean up her room, organize her books in their alphabetical order that she had them, and do a puzzle.
Oh my gosh.
I was, busy writing songs and making music in my room, but it was like this kind of chaos in my room that kind of made sense to me because I knew where my piles were.
Yeah.
And I had all of that. But when it came to anything that, resembled any kind of organization, I just didn't have I was too busy being creative I didn't see that as a creative thing.
Well,
now I
yeah.
see it as a creative thing. But I had gone on a trip when I think I was 16, and my sister, any opportunity that she gets, and she's still like this, when she comes to visit me, she'll look in my pantry first thing when she gets there, and she'll get up like at the crack of dawn, and by the time I'm up at like 8-9 o'clock, she's reorganized.
How funny.
My pantry. She enjoys
Right.
that,
Right.
and she just doesn't understand how people can have areas that just don't make sense.
Right.
And she's like your dad that way. I mean, everything is really organized. But I had gone on a trip when I was 16 and was gone for a week, and came back home, and she had alphabetized my CDs and alphabetized my records and alphabetized all of my books, and just moved my bed and made it very feng shui. And it all was so lovely.
Yeah.
It was like birds were singing when I walked in. It was like, I don't know.
It was a transformation.
It was a total transformation.
Yeah.
And she made sense of my things and displayed certain things that she knew that I really cherished.
Right. Aw.
And so it was the most thoughtful, and she was petrified that I would be so angry with her.
Right.
And I was so touched by that, and I enjoyed my living space so much. And it was from her example that I became a neatnik and a nester.
Right.
I'm really a nester.
Yeah.
Now I like to putter around and organize and make a space feel beautiful.
Right. And that's interesting that she influenced you that way. Well, I know for Bert says he likes to see evidence of himself everywhere, or he feels like he's disappearing.
Really?
Yes. So he said that's how he explained when I get the house clean, like really, really clean, everything's decluttered, that inside him he relaxes and panics at the same time.
Wow.
Like he goes, oh, this is really calming, but where am I? I'm not in here. Where am I? I don't see myself. So I got to put a sock here and a used cup there. And,
that is,
isn't that fascinating?
One of my favorite memories of you and Bert was one afternoon I had come over and you and I were talking, and all of a sudden, kind of out of the blue, Bert goes, whoa, that was so weird.
I don't remember.
And you turned around and you said, what? And he goes, I just felt like my soul like left my body right now. Something. And you went, honey, you haven't been eating any carbs for like 3 weeks. And it just cracked me up. I will never forget that. I thought, you can't make that stuff up.
How funny.
That was just too funny.
I don't even remember that.
I do.
Stuff like that happens all the time.
I know, but that was such
whoa. And I go, yeah, that was just no. Practical, pragmatic. I'm so practical and pragmatic, and he's so not.
Well, that's what makes it work, right?
I guess, yeah, it does. I mean, yeah, we're really happy, but sometimes I do feel the scale is definitely tipped in his direction for like, you know, what he needs for the chaos in the house and the schedule and the sleep and all that stuff. Some of that I go, you know, I think sometimes he feels like, well, I am much more of a nerd than he is. And I think that makes him feel uncool.
Aww.
So that sometimes my nerdiness, he can't tolerate. Like at 10 o'clock, I got to go to bed, and he cannot let me go to bed. He'll do everything in the world to keep me awake. And I'm like, dude, I'm up at 5:30 to get your children to school on time.
Right.
So I need to sleep. I don't get to sleep till 10 o'clock like you do. But he can't tolerate that. Like my wife's not going to be like a dork. So you got to stay with me. I need an undorky wife. I'm like, by the way, I'm not really a dork. I'm just not.
You're responsible.
I'm just not like he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the same responsibilities I have. You know, he has responsibilities. The hardest working person I know.
Yeah.
Like beyond. And the most important thing in his life is his family. But, you know, what he does in his brain is he goes, creativity is paramount.
Yeah.
Laundry, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Eating, sometimes I care, but not really.
Right.
I just want to not be hungry and eat what I want. I don't care about my health. It's really that creativity. When he explained that to me one time, he said, you know, one of the problems you have, Leanne, is that you put other things in front of your creativity. But my brain goes, well, the laundry does have to get done.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it, and you're not here 5 days a week.
Right.
And drop off and pick up has to happen. There's no school bus that comes to here. Someone's got to go get kids.
Yeah.
And someone's got to pay our bills. And someone's got like physically write the check.
Right.
And someone's got to walk the dog. And so then what do? Do I just say none of that happens so that creativity is paramount to me too? I can't do that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, and I'm one of those people that puts creativity first as well. But it's part of the reason why I'm not married, because every relationship that I've gotten into, I feel like what my role is expected to be is somebody's secretary, somebody's support system for the practical things. Right. And I am not willing to give up my creativity for those things. I mean, I'm very organized in my life and all of that, but once you have to do it for somebody else or
it's
kids and all of that, you can kind of disappear back there for a few years, you know, for a good decade or so. So, you know, if I, God bless any man who wants to take me on.
Right.
But, because I'm definitely not I love to, I'm definitely feminine and love to nest and do all that stuff, but I don't want that to be the full-time job and then some.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you've read the book. It's called Think. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of, it's the daughter of the woman who did the OJ trial. Marsha. Yes. Her daughter wrote this book called Think, and it's about how, and there's a whole Marsha Clark's daughter. Yeah. And she says that, when women get married, their workload goes up by 30%.
Right.
A man's goes down by 30%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So interesting. We had this conversation the other day.
Yeah.
My kids, we're back to school. I was like, let's talk about chores. We've done our chores over the summer, but they're going to continue in school. And let me just tell you why. I watched this episode of The Super Nanny. And the Super Nanny put 4 pieces of paper on the wall.
Yeah.
And had mom, dad, and the 2 kids write down what they did for the common good of the household.
Oh, wow.
Mom's list
Yeah.
was insanity.
Yeah.
Everyone else's had like 3 things.
Yeah.
You know, I feed the dog. And I said, I'm saying this because we can do that exercise. We can hang those 4 pieces of paper up and list them down. But I don't think I need to do that for you to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I would like for you guys to take some of the things off my very long list and move it to your list.
Yeah.
And that's the same point you're making, I think.
Yes.
Is that women, their list is forever.
It never ends.
No.
It never ends. You know, and it's so ingrained in us. I mean, I'm not saying that it's, you know, and part of it is it's our fault too.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, I find myself, I got home from the studio. I've got a studio downtown with my collaborator. So I drive downtown when I'm done teaching, and we work till 2, 3 in the morning, like 3, 4 days a week. But I come home and I unload the dishwasher and I put, I start the new thing of dishes. I wipe down the counter. I go into my bathroom. I clean that out, change the cat boxes. I make my bed before I go to bed, because usually I'm just so rushed in the morning that it's just like, I'm just, door. Just go, 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 go. But it's, my mother never sits down.
Yeah.
And
I don't ever
she
sit down
works,
either.
she worked, she always worked full time, much longer hours than my dad, but my dad is a musician.
Right.
So he had different kinds of hours,
right.
From like 6 p.m. until 2 in the morning, which
right.
I do also on the weekends, but I also work during the day and, all of this. But my example was her never resting. And, she's 73 years old now, and she's still working.
Right.
And she's naturally, a caregiver, caretaker. But she's taking care of an elderly man who's 86. And she, I talked to her the other day and she's like, well, I made him a peach cobbler this morning. And then I took him to the store and, did all of his grocery shopping for him. And then he wanted to go to Costco to, get some other stuff. We went home. I made him lunch. Then I made him a lasagna for dinner. And I'm going, Mom.
Oh, my goodness.
And then you went home and you cooked for Dad and you cleaned up your house and you did the laundry. You called me, you put out the fire with the grandkids,
it's a lot.
It's a lot of stuff. And she's 73. But, so I have this theory that this whole thing where they say, women live so much longer than men. And, they say that it's the social connections and all of that, which I fully believe. But I think it's because they're always moving.
Yeah, probably
you're
part
always
of it.
moving.
Yeah.
You're always up. So,
Always,
I think it keeps us living longer. But I definitely have that thing in me that is always going. I'm just always going. And I don't even have kids and I'm not even married, but it's just I know when I go to the studio, I'm vacuuming, I'm doing things, John, my collaborator is, he calls himself the worst multitasker, but I've got like this email open over here. I'm editing this thing over here, and I'm making a list of everything that we need. And then I'm brainstorming about what we're going to do over the next week, making mix notes, on what we need to do with the music. And it's just, I don't know. It's just in our...
It's in our DNA a little bit.
It's in our DNA. So I don't think that that's like a, it's not a major gripe, but I think that we can easily be martyred our entire lives if we're not careful.
Well, right. Well, you know, when I got pregnant, I made the conscious choice. I knew that this was what was happening. I knew this is where we were going.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to be, because the reality is Bert's not physically here like 5 days a week. So, we get in this rut sometimes where he feels helpless because I do everything, because I do everything 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Why would those 2 days a week I go, oh, thank God, now I'm doing nothing. You can do everything. And it doesn't happen that way. I'm like, well, the garbage.
You're in a flow.
Yes, you're exactly right. So if the garbage can is empty, I don't go, hey, honey, on those 2 days he's home, because the 5 other days, that's not even possible. So it doesn't occur to me on the 2 days he's home to go, hey, honey, can you take out the garbage?
Yeah.
I just go do it. So then after a long period of time of me just pushing everything forward, he starts feeling, what's my place in this family? I feel like I don't know where I belong. I feel like all I do is make money and come home, and then everybody's got these things going and I don't have a place in them. Like, I don't even know where this thing is. I don't know where that thing is. I don't know where, who she's talking about at high school. But it's partly because I just handle everything. Yeah. So that he can be creative. Because when we were first together, I was writing, and I was more successful than he was at the time as a writer. Yeah. But I wasn't making enough money to support all of us. Yeah. And he wasn't making enough money to support all of us. And when we looked on paper, I definitely can do a lot of stuff for a job. Yeah. And he definitely could not. So of the two of us, we were like, there's one obvious person who can have a day job, and it was me. And so if that's the way we're going to go, if this is the choice I've made, and I've made this choice, then I'm okay with working this job and putting my creativity on the back burner to run the semantics of life, so that we can get him to a place and our kids to a place where I can come back and be creative again. There's a lot of collateral to that.
Oh, yeah. But, you're building something that is, eternal. A family and children and all of that. You're part of the life cycle. And I mean, I know that I've made the choice not to have kids because I'm around kids a lot, and I love kids and I enjoy kids. But, when my sister had kids and I started pulling the all-nighters, on her behalf, like the kind of tired where you think you're going to die.
Yes.
Tired.
We moms know that, tired.
Oh, yeah.
Where creativity then doesn't exist because you're so exhausted.
You're so exhausted, and, and then when you've got 2 little ones to, make sure that they are not killing themselves every minute of the day. Yeah. There's a very real part of you belong to them, and you should. Yeah. Absolutely, you should. Yeah. Nobody needs you more than your children. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the being around kids so much and loving being an aunt has kind of quieted my clock. But these conversations that I'm having with you are the kinds of conversations that I've always had with women my whole life. And, it's funny because Isla, when she was little, we had a really interesting conversation. She blows me away.
Yeah, she's an interesting cat, isn't she?
She is. But she said to me, when I grow up, I think I want to be the husband and not the wife. And I said, really?
Pretty smart cookie.
We just put our things down for a minute. And I said, so why would you rather be the husband than the wife? And she goes, because I just want to focus on my writing and my art and the things that I love to do. And I don't want to have to always be doing the dishes and picking up the kids from school and doing these things. Right. And I thought, I remember feeling when I was a kid, like, gosh, you know what? Dad is just, he feels more interesting to me because he's got this whole inner world. I couldn't, of course, articulate it at the time, but he was fascinating to me because he was really highly creative and had this world of other, creative people, other artists that he was working with all the time. And they were always doing something that was, he always seemed re-energized, by the stuff. And Mom always seemed stressed. She was always very stressed. And I just got this impression of, this is, and she was into us. My mother was into us. She's an amazing mom,
right?
And my dad is amazing too. But I internalized the same kind of thing that Isla did, where it was like, I don't know that I want to have to unplug my natural gifts for this. But, these are the trade-offs. There's no, and who knows? Maybe in 20 years I'll regret it. I don't know, but I don't think you ever regret having children. I don't think you ever regret.
No, I can't imagine anybody.
No,
that would.
No. I have so much respect for moms.
Yeah, moms.
It's astounding.
It's a warrior job.
It's a warrior job. Yeah. I know, at 73, if I call my mom and she doesn't pick up, within 2 seconds, she'll text me, hey, I'm at the, salon, I'll call you in 30 minutes. It's mom is, dad, you can call and call and call and call. Yeah, and he never pick up his phone, and it's not that he doesn't love me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that, I just get it all through your mom. Everything, you just tell her and I'll get the.
I got it. My God. So your dad played guitar?
No, he's a great keyboard player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's incredible. Really incredible. He was an arranger for Disney in the 70s when it was like the Facts of Life cast. Lisa Welch.
Okay. Yeah.
And he wrote a lot of music with Bobby Caldwell and played with Bill Medley and Diana Ross and, people like that. So we had a recording studio, just
at your house?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And just, he was gigging, just all the time, but he would go from the really big, lucrative gigs at Disney and stuff like that to doing, $50 a night, bar gigs and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah. And my mom, she was a medical transcriptionist.
What is that?
Well, she, like back in the day, you'd have the doctors, taking a little tape recorder and speaking into the tape recorder with all of their medical language, saying this is what's going on with this patient. This is what we need to do in the surgery. And they would send it off to a department of transcriptionists that would type that stuff out.
Wow.
And she did that. She was a stewardess for years, and then she did that. And she did that for years, but she loved the medical community.
Interesting.
So she was always around doctors and surgeons. She just, the relationships that she developed in the medical community. So it was one very creative parent, who was kind of so much looser.
Right.
And then she was, all about care,
right?
All about caring for others,
right?
And her concern for other people it never ends. She lives in this little cul-de-sac up in Rockland, California, and all the neighbors are all the same age. It's not a retirement community, but it just so happens that the little cul-de-sac that they live in is all retirees.
How cool.
And they're like the coolest
that's
people.
really awesome.
It's amazing. I go up there and hang out with those ladies and just, I don't want to come back. They're so much fun,
cool.
so colorful and fun. And and it's funny because her neighbor who lives around the corner said, your mom is like the womb of our whole community.
Wow.
She's just like because she's like you were saying earlier that your mom was into yogi, type of stuff.
Yeah.
My mom grew up just outside of a little town called Lilydale in upstate New York, which is, you can't live in Lilydale unless you are a certified seer, unless you're a certified
seer?
Psychic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's really, really crazy.
What if you're born in Lilydale?
I don't know. I'll have to look into that kind of thing. I'm sure you can live there, but it's like you can't move into there.
Ah.
Yeah. So there's documentaries on it and all that kind of stuff.
I'll have to look at this, because how did that start? What started that? How was there an intense population, like a concentrated population of psychics? That's crazy. I've never heard of this.
It's really interesting. Yeah. So
is your mom a psychic?
No, but she's extremely intuitive in a freakish way.
Yeah.
I mean, really freakish.
Yeah.
She just knows.
She just knows
She
stuff.
just knows stuff. She just knows.
Well, I think sometimes that comes from being really connected.
Well, yeah. It's that, but it's also like, yeah, there's, I think what you were saying earlier about the difference between, religion and spirituality, there's a wisdom that comes from knowing when to say something to someone or in any kind of circumstance and knowing if it's worth it or not.
Right.
Like those kinds of, like she can intuitively know this person is not going to connect with this thing.
They're not going to hear
not Yeah. It's just a very, I mean, she'll know when I'm going through some kind of phase, or when anybody really, it's not just me. It's not just because I'm her kid. She just can look at any situation and just see
what's going on.
See what's going on really quickly.
See what's really going on. Yeah.
See what's really going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you were saying earlier too that your dad had to change his name?
Yes. Well, my dad is one of 7 children. Ukrainian immigrant.
Okay.
And his whole family was basically adopted, sponsored by Christian missionaries.
Okay.
Brought over from Germany. There was during the invasion of Poland, the oldest child from every village was taken as prisoners to work in factories. And so that's how my grandparents met, and they had kids while they were in camps.
Wow.
Basically, my dad was their first child, and anyway,
That's
they were on a
crazy.
list. Yeah. And these missionaries who had this farm needed help on their farm. I think it is in Michigan. I think it was in Michigan. I've got to get my facts straight here. But anyway, it's so funny. Your parents can tell you things and for years and years, and you're still like, I don't know.
Somewhere over there.
Somewhere over there. Yeah. So they lived in a little clapboard house with, he had his 7 brothers and sisters and his mom and dad, and was out there working the fields,
Wow.
from 5, a.m. in the morning, and, ended up falling in love with jazz music and but his father made him play in the church and do a lot for the Ukrainian community, the Ukrainians who had come over here, and very heavily indoctrinated as a kid. I mean, the only thing that he could have in the house was Bibles and encyclopedias.
In his house he grew up in?
Yeah.
Wow.
In his house that he grew up in.
That's
So,
intense.
really intense. Really intense. So he taught his parents English through the encyclopedia and through reading the Bible.
Right.
So, when he was, I think he was 15 or 16, he was kicked out of the house because he had been sneaking out and playing in jazz clubs and improvising,
boy.
and really, he was already a really accomplished musician. And his dad said, you're making the devil's music and you cannot use the Malievsky name if you're going to go out there and make that music and get out of my house. And so
No
ever since then,
way.
he was on his own, and he changed his last name to Martin. So yeah, he changed his last name to Martin.
crazy.
And, I'm an artist as well. And as an artist, I go under a different name, partly because of that. But I was going to use Martin. But when I moved out here to LA, there was already a Christina Martin who
Oh, no
had
way.
like several albums under her belt. And so, and my dad was, just very, you're going to need to choose a name, because back when there was not like the big internet thing, he was like, I don't want you're going to be out doing gigs and all this stuff, for teaching, it's fine, use your name. But I really don't want people to be able to look up where you live and who you
that's
are and all
smart.
of that. And so as an artist, I go under the name of Rhea Stevens, which is, I know it seems so strange, but my dad had a brother who died in a motorcycle accident at 17 years old, and his name was Stephen.
Aw.
And the whole family always says, oh my gosh, you know, Christina's just like Steven. She just
No way.
looks like him. You know, there's just so, like, I'm the one that resembles him the most.
Right.
And then Rhea came from, I went to a baby shower with my mom when I was like 12, and they were doing baby naming games. And somebody said, you know what? I heard the prettiest name. It was Rhea. And I went home and wrote a song called Rhea, all about this little girl who was adopted. And it was just my first song that I wrote that I was really, really proud of, that my friends went, oh, you got to send that to me. I want to hear that again. And so I thought, well, why don't I just use that? And my dad was like, I don't care what you choose. Done. That's what you're using.
That's great. What a great story. That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's not just some, you know, random stage name, but
It's chosen.
It's chosen.
Purposefully chosen.
yeah.
Your
Yeah.
uncle's name. That's really cool. So you obviously didn't know him. He died at 17.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
Yeah.
That's
He
really-
died really young, but
That's
yeah, you know,
crazy.
different times. It's like, and your dad, and you were saying your dad was,
Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist.
My mom was into transcendental meditation.
So
which is what
how
the
did
Beatles
they?
that was Pat. My mom and dad were high school sweethearts.
Wow.
They got married 3 weeks after my mom graduated high school.
Oh,
so
my
literally they were
gosh.
planning her wedding at the end of high school.
Wow.
So they were married for 10 years, but divorced when I was 7. So she was raised Southern Baptist. Her mother is still very Southern Baptist. Like when I told her I was marrying Bert and he was a Catholic, she was like, oh no, a Catholic? Oh no. It was like horrible. And I was like, wait, they're both Christianity. It's not like I said I'm
Yeah.
marrying a Jew or a Muslim.
So funny.
You would have thought that would have gotten some kind of reaction from a deeply Southern. No, the Catholic, she was like, oh God. But she's still, she's still very Southern Baptist. So my mom came,
Yeah.
to adulthood as a Southern Baptist. But after my parents divorced, she and I moved to Atlanta. And she, her first real boyfriend after my dad was a really wonderful guy that I treated terribly because he wasn't my dad.
Aw,
He was
yeah.
a great guy. His name
Well,
was,
7 years old. That must have been really hard.
it was stunk.
Yeah.
It totally stunk because she started modeling, and when I was about 4, and she went to Chicago and stayed there for a long time when I was 4, and then when she came back, my parents were just fighting, and
yeah.
she was not being upfront, honest, integrous with my dad at all, and
Was she cheating on him?
she had cheated on him, I think when she was in Chicago, and I think she was done. And done without a discussion, done without any reason to be done. So for my dad, it was very hard.
Aw.
And she, I think, came back from Chicago never intending to stay with my dad, but leading him to believe that she did.
Because she didn't want to have the conversation.
No.
Yeah.
I'd like to think she was that nice of a person. No.
Really?
She spent the time renting an apartment and fully furnishing it on credit cards she had opened in his name without his knowledge. So I don't think she was that nice, Christina. That's not the lady that raised me. She's not a nice lady.
Wow.
But after we moved to Atlanta, she started dating this guy, and he was very into transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
So she got really into it, and really into it, like Birkenstocks, and like now Birkenstocks
That must
are
have
no
been
big deal.
strange. That
It-
must have been strange for you.
It was so bizarre.
Are you close with your mother today?
Oh no, I don't have a relationship with her at all.
Wow.
I haven't talked to her. She's seen my kids one time.
Wow.
And only because she kind of shanghaied a visit with my grandmother. No, I didn't know you didn't know this about me.
No,
The people listening know this. I've talked about this quite a bit, but my mom has like a personality disorder. So
I was going to say, that sounds like bipolar or,
she's
or
not
borderline.
bipolar. No, it's borderline.
Yeah.
But she has, at 13 and 23 and 33, I was deemed dead to her every time, and she won't talk, has no contact with me for years at a time.
Wow.
Because I've done something she doesn't agree with. She has narcissism, or I
Yeah.
believe, I shouldn't say, she's not been diagnosed.
Wow.
But all the reading I've done and the therapy I've done leads me to believe that she is narcissistic, borderline personality disorder,
Right.
and she has some sociopathic behaviors that I don't want to talk
so
about on the air. No, that's okay. It's,
everybody deserves a good mom.
Everybody deserves a good mom. You know what? The saving grace, I think, was
your dad.
My dad, but until she went to Chicago, I think she was a good mom. I think she really tried.
Yeah.
I think she really tried. And I think things from her childhood that traumatized her came to roost when she went to Chicago and stuff started just breaking down.
Wow.
I feel really bad for her because I don't think that she is capable of having a regular relationship. I mean, she's going through her 6th divorce now.
Oh my goodness.
So,
what a life.
What a life. She's a highest paid model in Atlanta for 9 years. Beautiful, 5'8", blonde hair, green eyes, body like Cher, like just a beautiful woman. The most friendly, gregarious. You would love her. You would be like, she's the best lady ever. I love her. Can we go to lunch?
Yeah.
But she cannot maintain any personal relationships except with her mom. And it's because her mom is pretty much a saint.
Wow.
And her mom just won't. Her mom's always got her back. Even if you go, I don't know how you do the math to have that back, but okay, I get it. You're her mom. That's the way you got to be. But when she got into TM, it was really weird for me because we would go to the center in Atlanta, which is where they meditate in mass.
Yeah.
And, it was just so foreign and so abrupt because I was in this town of 1,800 people. I was related to everybody pretty much in the town.
Wow.
The neighboring town was her hometown where I'm related to everybody over there too. And then she moved me to Atlanta where I didn't know anybody. And then I'm going to the center regularly watching these people in like full white robes and Birkenstocks pray and meditate and have all these ceremonies and chanting. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on over here.
Yeah.
But because of that, what we were talking about in my kitchen before the podcast started, I have a wall in my kitchen that has 8 clipboards. And on the clipboards, I put, Georgia's honor roll certificate, Georgia's silver award from Girl Scouts, a beautiful picture Isla has drawn. Georgia made a booklet that she worked really hard on in a history class that she's really proud of. So it's kind of like the wall of pride.
Yeah.
There's one clipboard of chores, which no one enjoys. And then I have a quote clipboard, and I put a quote of the week.
I love that.
Well, I feel like wisdom comes from many places and many different people. There's so many wise and brilliant people that walk the earth. And one of the things that I came to realize in my early 20s was that I was very spiritual, but I always felt really lost because I was not religious. I don't resonate with Southern baptism.
Yeah.
My mother forced me to meditate and to be part of this community that I think is a very powerful community because it was forced on me in such an abusive relationship way. I have rejected it always.
Yeah.
And even though I understand in my brain the value of meditation, I just have the hardest time. Yeah, I can't. It's like I was saying this on another podcast. I had to take 21 vitamins a day when I was a child.
Wow.
She made me drink niacin, and she was really, that was part of her Maharishi.
Oh my goodness.
So we ate only health food. She was macrobiotic. So everything was massively controlled. Way back then. In like 79?
Yeah.
78? That's hardcore.
Height of the hippie movement.
Height of the something.
Yeah.
Some kind of movement. But I was recently...
The tail of the hippie movement,
The tail, but this, whatever. Yeah. It was for her. It was her life. So it was my life too because I was her kid. But I was... recently, because I'm 48, I thought, like probably 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, I need to start taking vitamins again because I'm in that age. You need some, I need some calcium. So I popped some vitamins in my mouth, swallowed them, and then threw them up. Like reactively. Like they just threw up.
Oh.
Nothing else threw up. Just the vitamins came back out. And I went, I was shaking physically. And I was like, that was bizarre. And I'm in therapy. I went to my therapist and she went, don't do that again. She said that was a physical reaction to trauma. So you need to take gummies eat gummy vitamins
Yeah.
and call it a day. Who cares about the calories or the sugar? You probably shouldn't be orally taking. Like, I can swallow medication,
Yeah.
Advil. I don't have a problem with pills. But I wonder if it was the sensory, the smell.
Probably. They say your olfactory is the strongest sense that we have attached to memory.
Well, then that would
Yeah.
make sense because vitamins have such a specific
They do,
smell.
yeah.
I popped this multivitamin in and it literally like jettisoned, and I had swallowed it.
Oh my gosh.
And it flew out of my mouth, and it just shook me up so badly. But anyway, in my early 20s, I found myself feeling very lost and not wanting to be religious because like I was saying to you, I lived in New York at the time, so I would always go into, St. Patrick's Cathedral and pray because
Yeah.
I believe in God and I believe in spirituality. But then I'd go, I'm in a church where people molest people. That may have happened here. I can't be Catholic. And then I can't be Southern Baptist. And I can't sign up for a lot of this stuff is going against like my ethics.
Right.
Like, how do you let kids get molested and then call yourself a church? I don't
Exactly.
understand how that.
Well, I mean, I feel like, I think we've got God is in us, but I also think the darkest of the dark is in us too.
Oh, that's true.
And it's in all of us. I mean, you were mentioning earlier that in Southern Baptism, in the Southern Baptist Church, that, you're born in sin, you're always going to be repenting and all of that. I mean, I think that we are all inherently everything. We all have the capacity
for evil,
for good or for evil. It's just, whatever you choose, wherever you choose to put your energy,
Yes.
So if you're going to church and you're doing all the deeds, that doesn't, exile the darkness in you.
Right.
And so I think that is like the lowest of the low, is to use, the outward clothing of religion to cloak your sickness.
Right.
I mean, that's what's just so dark, and I mean, that's a labyrinth.
It's awful.
Right there. So then you don't, why would you trust your soul to the company of these people?
Agreed.
So I mean, we all have, I mean, I just believe that we have a responsibility to tend to our souls.
I agree.
And to tend to our spirits. And
I agree.
And I think that it's really important to do that on a daily basis, whatever that is. But a prayer or a meditation can be making lunch for your kid, or doing it mindfully. And I mean, I think that there's nothing more important than caring for other people and caring for yourself.
Right.
So,
it's the golden rule, right?
it's the golden rule. So, if you haven't prayed that day, but you're taking care of your family, or you're taking, where's the...
Yeah, I think that too. I don't think God's an angry God. I don't think he's a punishing God.
No,
like
I think
lot of
God
religion.
tells us, God, I believe that God is law, just like the way that, like, if you take the hairdryer and you put it in the bathtub while you're taking a bathtub and it's plugged in, you're going to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
So I think that, the word of God and religion, what the value in all of that is really, it's God is saying, don't put water in your gas tank, folks.
Yeah.
This is what you will get if this happens.
Right.
I am love. This is love.
Right.
This is all things that are love here are the, the commandments, the laws for your happiness. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be subject to worldly catastrophe and pain and suffering, but for the tending of your soul, these are the things that will keep your soul safe,
Right.
and healthy.
Now, where do you find those things? Do you find them in the Bible, Or do you find them just from living life and watching life? Or do you find them from the Quran? Are they in all those?
No, I mean, interestingly enough, like you, I grew up with one very religious parent and one very spiritual, non-religious parent who didn't even tell me. My mom didn't even tell me that she was into Eastern religion until I was in my late 20s.
Really?
She didn't even tell me. She sent me a book when I was just having a full-on panic attack on the phone with her, this is just not what, just all, and then this, and then this, and then there's just full on anxiety. And she said, you know what? I'm going to send you this book. I think you need to read it. And it was A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah. And I was going on the road at that time. It was like for 3 months. And it was a situation with a band where I was just really, I just could not center myself while I was out on the road on that gig. I just couldn't. I was so depressed. And I read that thing cover to cover like 5 times. And something flipped. And I just went, we're made from source energy.
Yeah, totally.
So all of it is in me.
That's right.
In you. It's just where I invest my thinking and actually taking care of me so that I can be a blessing. My prayer every morning is just help me to be a blessing to every living thing today.
Right.
Help me be a blessing. Just,
Right.
And, I love A Course in Miracles, which I love Marianne Williamson and, that whole prayer in there, lead me to the ones I need and to the ones who need me.
Right.
That kind of thing. 'Cause, you can be anywhere at the grocery store and you're having this, you let somebody else go ahead of you and then you end up having a great conversation and you get into some kind of flow where you meet somebody on the way out and you just go, do you need me or do I need you? It's really, really cool.
Or does it matter?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
We're all, I believe that we're all part of that same source energy. But yeah, I mean, I read Marianne Williamson all the time. I've spent a lot of time in church growing up and doing church gigs and singing in
religion?
church and Christianity.
Just a basic Christian, like not Methodist,
Non-denominational.
Baptist. Oh, okay.
Non-denominational.
Not even Unitarian?
No,
just non-denominational.
Non-denominational. And I grew up listening to gospel music, so I feel like most of my education is from Aretha Franklin's Amazing Grace album that I just listened to over and over and over. It's like in my bones, but there's not a single sermon that I remember from church. There's not a single anything.
No?
That I remember from church. I remember Sunday school, but I remember the songs.
Yeah, me
more
too.
the gospel songs. Those taught me more than anything because I'd listened to them over and over and over, and they were so moving, and they taught me. Mm-hmm. They just, they just taught me. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, I remember the songs from Baptist Church and what I quoted to you in the kitchen, that you were born of sin, therefore you shall repent all the days of your life, was said every Sunday. So, and you need to be saved.
I think that's
Anybody
so
want to be
unhealthy.
saved? Who's going to be saved today? Who going to come witness today? I remember that, but I don't remember the lessons either. The lessons I learned were in Sunday school.
Yeah.
And from the songs.
And from examples. I mean, so much of that, I don't know, my grandmother was very, very religious on my dad's side, but it was the way that she loved everybody around her. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd go and you'd be in total turmoil, as a 15, 16-year-old, and she would know what was going on, this boyfriend or that situation or, whatever. And you'd just be in her presence and she would just take your feet and rub your feet.
Aww.
And just, it was the way that she would spend 2 hours a day in prayer.
Oh my
praying
gosh.
for every single one of her kids and her grandkids and just seeing us in light and those things. And it just, there was a warmth about her that was so safe and so secure. So I mean, you can tell when there's no, I don't know. I just think spirituality anchors you to your truth, to your highest self. It's really easy to get fettered in life and just fragmented.
Yeah.
And pulled into all these. And then you're kind of here, kind of there, kind of,
But now here's my question. I wonder about this a lot. I had religion in life and then let religion go, but kept the spirituality.
Yeah.
I don't know that I had spirituality when I was in religion.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I wonder this with my kids who've had no exposure to religion.
Yeah.
I keep exposing them to some spirituality.
I think that's great. Yeah.
But I wonder how that will develop them, because I had read the Bible before I decided to step away from religion.
Yeah.
I had fully participated in religion before I stepped away from religion. And there's a lot I learned from being in the Baptist church. There's a lot that I learned about principles of life, about my own spirituality that came directly from that experience. I just couldn't get behind the whole experience of being in that religion. So I took pieces from it. Does that make sense? Right.
Well, I think it's great. I mean,
but I wonder how my kids will do that. That's my point. Is like, I know how I
it's hard
did
to
it.
tell, yeah.
So I wonder how they're going to do that, because really, to me, the spirituality piece, the Bible I made for myself. I started collecting thoughts and ideas that resonated with what I had been taught and what I believed myself was the way to live your life. Ethical, moral, love, positivity, happiness, giving, generosity, grace, like those kind of key components I thought had kept you connected to your higher self.
Yeah.
Negative things like anger, jealousy, greed, envy, those things disconnect you, gossiping, disconnect you from your higher self. So I tried to collect these quotes that were more the things that kept you connected. And then I created this Bible, and I thought, if I ever feel lost, I have somewhere to go. I can pick this up and read whatever quote is in here. So I read tons of books too, like you did, like Marianne Williamson. I read, Deepak Chopra a lot, and The Alchemist, and
right,
Shakti Gawain and Louise Hay, and I just Ian Van Zandt, and I just pulled from all those places, and lyrics of songs and poems. And I was really into this author named Tom Robbins at the time, where he was, every once in a while he'd have a line in a book where my entire head would blow off. And it was a fiction.
Wow.
And it was just they were goofy books about, nothing super spiritual, nothing spiritual in them. And then all of a sudden he'd have a character say something where I go, that is how you live life. That's it. I'm writing that in the Bible. I was hiking with a friend who said to me, for some reason this hit me on the right day at the right time. She went, why can't life just be easy? And for whatever reason, that hit me, and that one in the Bible. So every time I read that, I have a memory of how I felt in that moment.
Wow.
Where I go, okay, for whatever reason, I wanted life to be really easy. And why can't it just be easy? Why do we have to make it so hard?
You should start a blog where you take these little pieces from your Bible that you've put together and write a blog about an instance in your life.
Oh, that's interesting.
With that quote in there, because I think
that's a good idea.
It would be so helpful and useful to so many people.
Maybe I'll do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how to write a blog. I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm so not good. I'm so like, you push play on the VCR.
I can help you if you want.
I have it on a website. I guess you just write it on my website. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you got to, get on one of the blogging platforms, then you tweet it, and you
help me with
put
that.
it on Facebook. I'll totally help you with it. Yeah.
I'm so
absolutely.
Clueless.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have a base with my Bible, so I keep putting pages of my Bible on my kitchen wall,
right,
forcing my children to read them aloud.
But I think that is so powerful. I mean, my dad used to tell me Bible stories, and I remember the Bible stories, and I remember a few quotes here and there, but the ones that, first of all, I didn't connect with anything until it was through life experience.
Well, yeah.
And then I kind of went, and that's the thing about kids, is that the fact that they see you putting this on the wall and seeing that this is important to you, and you talking to them and saying, what does this mean to you when you read it? It's whetting their appetites for something richer, something deeper, because when you get later in life, especially in the lost years of your 20s. I mean, I don't know anybody who wasn't lost in their 20s.
Me neither.
You don't have a grip on anything yet. You just, and you're trying to find your place in the world.
Yes. And who you are and what you mean. And
you don't know how to do anything yet.
No.
And you're just kind of regurgitating things that you've heard around you and hoping that you're going to be respected and all this. But it wasn't, for me anyway, until I had made some of my best and worst mistakes that I went, what was that Bible verse again? What was that? Let me go back to, it wasn't until I really screwed up that I started to pull from these things, and I went, that was my misstep. Not my sin, but I mean, because sin is really just missing the mark. But we all do, and it's just like with parents. You want to tell your children, don't do that.
Right.
Because,
and this is why.
But sometimes you have to let them.
Right.
You have to let them crash and burn, because that's the way that they're going to process things in their bones. It's
called...
experiential learning.
Yeah, that's it. That's not the word I was looking for, but that is it.
Yeah.
It's called... It's not integral. It's
integration.
Intrinsic.
It's
when it becomes intrinsic when they learn it through experiential learning, as opposed to, I'm telling you this, now you have the knowledge. It's not an intrinsic. It hasn't been learned
exactly
by them. It's just been told to them, which is different. I see what you mean. I think you're probably right.
Exactly.
It's the same thing with my not cleaning the room until I left.
Well, it is the same thing, and just a flash that came to my mind, so I'll share it. Something that my dad taught me as a young woman, young adult, really, for daughters, you've got daughters. Like this was a really important moment for me that has never left me and helped me from then on. I had a friend who lived down the street from me who was 3 years older than me, and he was playing bass in a band, and he was really well respected, in the music community at our little high school. And I wanted the gigs that he had. And I think I was 15 and he must have been 18. And he was kind of like this a pudgy guy, not somebody that I would necessarily be interested in.
Right.
And my dad knew this kid, and, he knew the gigs that he had, and he knew that, that I was going, well, I really want to, be able to sing with them. But I was too young to, be out there doing any of that yet. And anyway, my dad came home from work, and I was flirting with this kid. I was playing with my power. He had a crush on me.
Oh boy.
And I put my feet in his lap and was kind of flirting with him. And when he left and I said goodbye, and my, oh, so good to see you, doing all that.
Oh, so cute.
Totally. All that kind of stuff. My dad taught me the biggest lesson. He said, you come talk to me. Come sit on the couch.
I'm nervous.
Oh, yeah.
What'd he say?
He looked at me, and he looked at me for a long time, and he said, if you want something, you need to earn it.
Wow.
And do not play with the emotions of men.
Wow.
Don't do that. He said, I didn't raise you to do that. I don't like what I saw today.
Wow.
He said, your people are important. Their emotions are important. They're, don't play with people.
Right. What a good dad you had.
What a great dad. What a great dad.
Great dad.
And I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed of myself. I never did that again.
Wow.
Never did that again. But it was such an empowering lesson.
Right.
To get from your dad that you don't have to do this. You have the ability to get your own gigs.
Right.
do not use other people. And I love him for that.
Yeah, that's amazing lesson. What a great dad.
Well, yeah, great dad. So I guess what I'm saying is, as a parent, and of course at that age, I was like, I'm not doing anything. You're being ridiculous in the adolescence and all that kind of stuff.
I know everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
But it went. And
It
your
went
kids
in,
will
right.
tell you the same things.
Right.
Your daughters, when they're away at college or, on their first job, you're going to get that phone call. Hey, Mom, remember that little Bible that you used to hang up? Do you still have that?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'll email it to you right
Yes,
now. I have it
exactly.
all.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Because there's so many life things that you can't discuss with your peers and expect any wisdom, because it's like the blind leading the blind.
Oh, totally.
In
yeah.
your 20s.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not going to bring it up to the people that you respect, in jobs and stuff like that. Your mom is the one you're going to call.
Probably because, you're supposed to already have everything figured out in your 20s. Or at least I felt like I should have everything figured out.
I think we all felt that way.
So if you show anybody that you don't, then you really have no value, or you've really devalued. So now I'm the first person to go, I don't know what that word means. Can you just tell me what that word means?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying, because I don't know that word.
We really get over our pride after a while. It really just...
I know.
We become
so prideless.
less and less pretentious as time goes on.
Which is, I think, good. There's so many times I think now, I wish I could start college from here.
I know.
Because my focus when I started college was booze and boys.
Exactly.
Booze and boys. Booze and boys. I don't study. There's a book in this place? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Where's the booze and where's the boys? And now I feel like, wow, I took everything for granted. Like, really took it for granted.
Yeah.
I learned a little in college, but not to my potential if I were to start with the wisdom I have now.
Right.
And I think I was probably book smarter then, like able to learn better, because I'd been learning for, we've been in school forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think about that a lot. I think if I could just infuse that girl with some of this self-esteem that I have now, that comes from just age and wisdom and life.
Yeah.
And saying you're enough. And
life is a great teacher.
Life's a great teacher.
It's a
if
great
you listen.
teacher. If you listen and if you're paying attention. I think that, but I feel like Georgia, I'm watching Georgia grow up, and she's just turning into this lovely person. Aww. She always has been.
Well, thank you.
But she's so thoughtful.
She is. She has always been very compassionate.
Yeah.
And I remember when she was really little doing something, and my mother-in-law saying, that's who she is. You can't teach a child that age is so self-centered. Naturally, they're supposed to be. Developmentally, they're all about themselves.
Yeah.
And she's not. Oh. So you need to know about that. That's going to make her really sensitive in some ways when she gets older, because she won't understand why people hurt her feelings who are selfish when they're supposed to be selfish, like now,
right,
like when you're a teenager. So she was like, just pay attention. If you see how compassionate she is now, apply it when she might get her feelings hurt easily, or be more sensitive when she's older, because that's her wiring. She's always been that way.
Wow.
Sometimes to a fault. Sometimes where I go, no, what do you want?
Right.
What do you want to do? I'm not saying, what are you okay with doing? I'm saying, what do you want to do? I want to know what you want so I can make that happen.
So what happens when you ask her that? Do you have any examples of...
Sometimes, she struggles with that. Isla, no problem.
Yeah.
I want a Coke and a bag of M&Ms, and I want it now. And I'd like 2 of each. And if you really want to know, I want 3.
Yeah.
No problem with Isla. Sometimes she really doesn't know. And that worries me, because I go...
Yeah.
You're not listening to part of yourself. You've shut part of yourself off. Why?
Right.
Is it something that we did as parents? Is it something because your sister is the loudest person in the room? Has that made you go, I don't want to be loud, so I'm not any trouble to mom and dad? What's the root of this? What have we done to contribute to this? And what if it is just your wiring? Because it may be a combination of both.
Yeah.
with high school, she kept hemming and hawing about going to high school, this particular high school. And I just had to pin her down and go, I will send you where you want to go.
Right.
But I can't read your mind.
Right.
So tell me what you want. And she finally said, and I went, that's all I need. Totally fine. Oops, sorry. Thank you, Halston, for catching that. We don't like to put our kid's school's name, and he's going to take it out.
Yeah.
But, stuff like that with buying an outfit. She's getting better. She's getting better, but she has a really hard time with that. So, and I think as you move forward, like me, I always had a pretty good sense of what I wanted. Like Isla, I was not as safe as Isla in my household.
Yeah.
So I couldn't always say it, and I lost the ability to say it. But once I got older,
it's such a phenomenon. It's the same thing with, in certain situations, I think, we're all that way. We just kind of...
Me? Oh, he said closer to the mic.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. Just in certain situations where you just kind of emotionally shut down and you just adapt. You just become adaptive.
Yeah.
But that's interesting to know about her. She's if she doesn't want to play something, she'll always tell me.
That's good. I think you're a very safe place for her.
Oh, good.
I think you're safe. Sandy is very safe. And actually Lynn is very safe for her.
Yeah.
So she feels like she can say, I like this or I don't like this. I know first day of school, I picked her up and I was like, how's school? Fine. Do you make any friends?
Yeah.
Yes. Like one word answers. And then later that night, I called Sandy about something else. She was like, so Georgia had a great day at school today. She told me blah and blah and blah. And
I know. It's so funny.
When did you talk to her? She said, well, I just called her to see how school was, and she just spilled the beans. And I'm like, seriously?
I know. We've had a lot of those conversations too. I don't know why. Something about your mother. I
think as a teenager, they don't want mom to know too much.
Right.
So Sandy's safe, even though if you think about it, I talked to Sandy every day.
Yeah.
You'd have to think she'd do the math and go, well, Sandy's probably telling her.
Right.
But whatever.
But she can't help it. She needs to release it.
She does.
So it just...
Yeah. And I don't really actually need to know it. I don't need to know what's going on in her every day.
Yeah.
But I just need to know that she's okay with me not knowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine with whatever she needs.
No, I get it.
If she needs to talk to Sandy, to you, to Lynn.
As long as she's talking to someone.
As long as she's talking to somebody, I'm happy. And, any of the three of you, if something was really wrong, I know you would all tell me.
Yeah. Well, did you ever have a figure in your life like that when you were growing up? Hopefully you did because of your situation with your mom, but you didn't have anybody that you could just...
Nope.
Wow.
No, I didn't trust anybody.
Wow.
I could talk to my dad, but I always had to be good. And he didn't require that of me. What happens when you have one parent that is so off the rails is psychologically the child then cannot disappoint the other one because I can't lose that one.
Yeah.
So I ended up really misbehaving and being very dishonest with my dad to keep a facade.
Yeah.
So that he believed I was this really good girl. And then I would go and act out and lie and sneak.
Have another face.
Because that was how I processed all my really bad feelings.
Wow.
But I couldn't do that with my dad because psychologically he was my only option of a parent, and as a child you look for one. So what happens psychologically is he becomes a saint, so he's done no wrong, which is not true. As I get older I go, well, he did a lot wrong. Nothing was traumatizing, but he was a human being. And why didn't he catch me lying? And why didn't he catch me sneaking out? That's he was either in denial or really oblivious as a parent, and that's not okay either. If you have a teenage girl in your house, you should know she's opening the window and sneaking out of the house and boozing boys. So I don't know. It was I didn't because he had a girlfriend. He ended up marrying. They were together forever, and then they married when I was a senior in high school, and by that the ship had sailed. So I didn't really have that person.
Is he still married to her?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not. But I think my person ended up being when I moved to New York. I got into therapy, and then that has been a long, slow process. Like I was in therapy with him for 4 years, and then I've been in therapy with my therapist now for 15.
Wow.
But I think for me, I had no role model of how to be healthy in any kind of interpersonal relationship. My dad had great friends and great siblings, and all that was really good. But
learning it though from the vantage point of adulthood and being, consistent with therapy probably makes you more solid than most
probably
in teaching, because I find your kids to be very healthy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, they're very, very solid.
Well, one advantage of growing up partly on a farm is that things are very, my dad, we lived with my dad's parents for a short period of time, but we were always like across the street from them or somewhere. They had a big farm, like an 80-acre farm, and things are very kind of cut and dried.
Yeah.
Do your homework. If you don't, here's the consequence. Boom, that's it.
Yeah.
No discussion. There's no, you feed the calf a bottle at 5 a.m. every day. Wow. I don't care if you don't feel good. You get up, you make the bottle, you feed the calf. The calf doesn't know.
Yeah.
You got to do that. You don't have a choice.
Right.
It's that kind of almost disconnected, this is the way it works.
Yeah. Discipline, all
it's
discipline.
It's kind of how I've been parenting, sort of, but not with the disconnection. With Isla will negotiate.
Yeah.
Until the cows come home.
Which is really procrastination.
It really is procrastination.
Those are the conversations that I have with her all the time about just.
It's awful. And what frustrates me is that she tries it with me and I stop it.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody else stops it. So it works, right? So I go,
she's getting enough.
We're done. No. Can I have 5 more minutes? No. It's now. Okay.
Yeah.
3 more minutes? It's now. And if you say something again, it's not tomorrow. And she stops. Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, done.
Yeah.
But nobody else does that.
It's exhausting. Yeah.
Tenacity's good. I'm glad she's tenacious. Yeah. And it'll serve her well as an adult, I hope. But
yeah. Well, anyway. The way life works, though, it all comes back to you. So she's going to end up in a situation where she's got to be that way with someone else,
right?
Just to get the smallest of things accomplished,
right?
And she's going to get so frustrated, and then she's going to have to go,
who
does that?
So funny you say that.
Who does that?
Christina, my husband has always accused me of being stubborn and tenacious. And exactly like Isla.
Oh,
and I was like, I am not. I am super flexible. I don't know what you're talking about.
Confessions.
And then I was in an argument with her. We were in an argument together, and Bert came up laughing. He was like, I'm just going to stop you guys right here. I want you to know right now that you are fighting with yourself.
Wow.
So just pay attention to what you're saying and what's coming back to you, because you are fighting with yourself. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you don't apologize. She's not bending. This is what you do. And I go, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
He's right. This is exactly what I do.
Kids follow what they see.
They do.
I see the same thing with my niece and my sister. Because my sister is very direct, very, very direct. So if you ask her a question, it's usually yes or no, with very little elaboration. Because she's so efficient in her mind. She's the one who organizes everything, that if something doesn't need elaboration, there is no elaboration.
Right. Because it doesn't need it.
It doesn't need it. And sometimes having a conversation with my sister can be, you're trying to connect and it's not happening, and so Sarah, my niece, has that tendency, but it almost sounds like she's mimicking my sister.
Interesting.
And I was just up visiting my niece, and I had this fabulous day in the pool for like 3 hours, on those little noodles,
nice.
Talking about it. And my niece has a boyfriend now. She's 16. I can't believe it. Where does the time go?
How
does this happen? So I'm asking, of course, I'm prying and trying not to seem like I'm prying about the relationship with her boyfriend and doing all of this. And she is not giving me anything. I mean, I'm just getting yes, no, maybe,
right.
In this whole conversation. And I said, you know what? Let's play a game. I want to play a game right now. Like, how about you ask me a question? and I am going to elaborate on it.
Interesting.
And then I'm going to ask you a question, and then you have to elaborate on it.
Right.
Like anything that comes to your mind, just, tell it.
Yeah.
So she'd ask me a question, and I'd answer it with a full backstory, and then it would come to her, and she got so nervous, and she said, I feel nervous when people ask me questions. Like when people come up to me at school and they ask me questions, I start sweating and I don't know what to say. And I said, well, nothing that you say is going to be wrong.
Right.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
Just be honest. So let's just be totally honest. And nothing that you say here is wrong. How about everything you say is right? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Right.
And she says, well, I see myself living in a little apartment with Trevor, and we have 2 cats. We have a Scottish fold, and we have a something or other, and he's a waiter and I'm a waitress.
Oh my God. That's pretty realistic.
It's very realistic.
Yeah.
It is. And I said, okay. And are you guys happy? Yeah, we cook together. He likes to cook, and we're doing this and we're doing that. And it was so interesting to get inside her head.
Yeah.
And see what her inner world was like.
Right.
It turns out that she writes short stories.
No way.
And she was telling me about the plots and everything that she's working on. But it was just like an elaborating exercise. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I've ever known more about her.
That's great.
Than that little afternoon in the pool.
That's so great.
Yeah, but I had to frame it like, it's not getting too personal here. We're just working on elaborating.
Right.
That's all it is. And I can't remember how we got on the subject, but about the, but if I were to ask that question of my sister,
right,
can you elaborate? She would get mad at me.
Right.
Like, I don't want to. No, I'm done.
Well, you know what? It's so funny you say that. I didn't know how to articulate my feelings. I would have feelings, and they would all go to anger because I couldn't suss them out.
They were too frustrating.
And I had no words for them.
Yeah.
And when I had Isla, when she was really little, she would hit first. Any feeling was a physical act. And I thought to myself, I used to get in fist fights when I was a teenager.
Wow.
And a young adult. I would go physical first because I couldn't figure out what I was feeling, which would make me frustrated, which would make me angry, which would make me lash out. So I'm watching my, 18-month-old, 4-year-old do the same thing. And I went to myself, no one gave me the words. No one said, I think you're feeling upset because Stephanie took your toy.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Let's work it out. So I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I was having a feeling. So I started trying to talk to Isla that way and going, why did she do that?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me say, I think you're feeling this way so that she could get some words. But your sister doesn't practice that. My point was, I wasn't given the tools, and then I wasn't given the situations to practice the tools.
Right.
So you just gave your niece a tool and a place to practice it, which your sister may have never gotten. And if it's not Georgia, I swear to God, was born and went, hey guys, how's everybody doing? We're talking in full sentences as soon as I come out, and I can tell you now that my tummy hurts, and it's burning, and it's rolling, and it feels... there's no articulation like that. So part of it is the wiring, right?
Yeah.
And part of it is how you're nurtured, how you are given words for how you're feeling, because as a child, you don't always know what that is. And you just did that for your niece. You said, let's elaborate. And maybe her culture at home is not used to elaborating. So it's something that she would really have to practice.
Yeah, I think so. And especially in this, I mean, today it's like everybody's on their screens.
All the time,
it's just, I think it's important though to stay in touch with what's really going on inside of a kid's mind, because you never know when they might be crushing their own spirit.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a long podcast.
We have had a
I
long
know.
podcast.
I'm sure you have to go
It's
somewhere and do
interesting.
something.
I do.
But thank you for talking to me. I can
You're
talk to
so
you forever.
welcome.
So for those that don't know, Miss Kris comes to piano and she and I end up talking for 20 minutes. And I think in the background, my kids are going, yes, that's that much less piano. But I enjoy talking to you so much.
I do too. I've
we've
always
read-
enjoyed
yeah,
talking to you.
Same here.
Well,
So-
I try to give your kids extra time whenever I can
Because
to make
I
up for
jabber.
the fact of the jabbering. But
I jabber. It's my fault. So
well,
no.
but hopefully they're watching that and they're listening, because I think what we talk about is mostly good stuff.
It's like this.
Yeah, it's like
exactly
this.
like this.
Yeah.
So you have to come back again.
Okay, I will.
When you have 2 hours again.
I will.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.